Hey there, beloved. Before we get started with the video, I wanted to let you know I have some new merch items in my store. And for the next 2 weeks to celebrate the arrival of fall, you can use the code GRANTUS15 to get 15% off everything in the store. If you've never checked out my store before, I want you to know that everything is designed by me personally, and it is geared towards helping you remember to pray or just spend time with God in general. For this new launch, we've got some fall specific merch, like this Memento Mori design, and this cute mug that says every October needs apples and pumpkins and rosary beads, because October is the month of the rosary. And we've got these Auspis Maria pillows where if you look closely, you can see the Auspis Maria symbol in the pattern. And the Auspis Maria is a symbol of protection of the Virgin Mary. I've also got some new general products for you, like this prayer journal and a poster of my favorite prayer, Thy Will Be Done, a new tote bag. I call it Domine Vobiscum. Some Genesis 9:13 items here. A wine tumbler, also with a Bible reference. And I have put the Fruits of the Holy Spirit design on various apparel items. So you saw this previously on a mug, but now you can wear it as a shirt. So like I said, for the next 2 weeks, you can use the code GRANTUS15 to get 15% off everything in the store, and the link will be in my description. Happy praying, everyone. Now into the video. Hello, beloved. What is up? How are you doing? I'm so excited to just sit down and chat with you in this video. Real quick, I have to say my computer is making this weird, like, thinking noise, and I can't get it to stop doing that. I don't know why it's doing that. It normally doesn't, so I'm just really hoping that, like, the mic doesn't pick it up too much, and I'm sorry if it does. Hopefully it stops doing it at some point. Okay, so wow, we hit 3,000 subscribers on this channel, and I just want to say thank you all for being here, for praying with me, and for just, I don't know, like, joining in this overall really positive community where we are all just striving to get closer to God. I love having you here, and so I wanted to do this very chatty Q&A, first Q&A ever. So yeah, I'm just really excited. Let's get started. So I guess first of all, if you're new here, my name is Rowan. I am Catholic. I was born and raised Catholic, but about 2 years ago really sort of became quote unquote on fire for my faith and really started delving into the Catholic faith and just like growing more and more in love with it, in understanding it, and seeing how God reveals himself through the Bible and through our tradition and everything. So yeah, if you're new here, welcome. And I'm going to answer some questions now. Here we go. Okay, so these are in no particular order. I'm just kind of going off of the questions left on my community post. I made a community post about it. And yeah, so first question. We have a question from Le Sophiste. I'm assuming that that is a French handle, YouTube handle. Le Sophiste asks, who is your favorite saint? What is your prayer routine? Okay, favorite saint. Oh man, let's see. I sort of have various saints that I like feel close to at different times, but I guess if I had to pick one, Saint Catherine of Siena is my patron saint. Her feast day is on my birthday, and so I chose her as my confirmation saint when I was confirmed, and so I sort of feel a special closeness with her. I also really like Saint Therese of Lisieux. I'm sort of trying to slowly make my way through her Story of a Soul writing, like diary, I mean, and Saint Faustina, I think, is also really cool. I've read snippets of her extensive diaries. I just really like Saint Peter. I don't know like what it is, just kind of that that personality he has that's very sort of brazen, but then gets humbled multiple times and in different ways, and just like I don't know, I love Saint Peter and reading about all the different stuff in the Gospels that he does. Okay, so my prayer routine. My prayer routine I feel like changes all the time, and I think I'm just like really bad at sticking at routines, and I like need to figure out a way to be better at that. But for a while, well, okay, so little backstory, which I think I talk about in a separate video that I can link down below. But for a long time, I had a lot of anxiety surrounding prayer because I knew deep down that my relationship with God was not where it needed to be, because I wasn't really thinking about him, learning about him, talking with him ever. And so when I would try to pray to try to like get back into it, I just had this awful feeling of anxiety, and like I didn't know what to say, and that things would just kind of spiral, and so I would like avoid it. So it was this like a vicious cycle. But anyway, once I kind of got over that, my prayer routine for a long time was always before bed to say an act of contrition and bring to God all of the things throughout my day that I was sorry for, that I wasn't proud of, that I was seeking forgiveness for. And after confessing those sins, I would tell God what I was thankful for, or thank God what I was thankful for, and offer any intentions for myself or for others at the end, and then finish with an Our Father and a Hail Mary. For a little while, I also kept a prayer journal, but I've never been good at journaling. I've always wanted to be good at journaling, and I'm not. Even when I say, okay, I'll just write a little bit, like, I don't know, I don't keep up with it very well, but when I really liked it, so I'm going to try to get back into that. And I do try to at least say a weekly rosary, though I have not been as good about that, and I want to get better at that and like one day work up to a daily rosary. I know I really should do that, but yeah, let's see what else we got here. Okay, Kaylee says, are you a cradle, convert, or revert Catholic? Also, who's your favorite saint and why? So kind of a similar question. So I am a cradle Catholic. I can't really say that I'm a revert Catholic because I never really like left the faith, but I became extremely lukewarm for some years. So not quite a revert, but like borderline almost. And we already sort of talked about my favorite saint. Kaylee also has a follow-up question. She asks, what are your interests and hobbies in general, Catholic related and those that are not necessarily Catholic related? So actually I am super duper into theater. It is my greatest love in terms of like what activity I like to do the most, which I will say that sort of at one point it did turn into like an idol for me, which I was reflecting on like a year ago about that, and just, you know, thinking about how God gives us these amazing talents, and yet they can sometimes distract us from God. And it sort of made me realize that like Satan wants to always like corrupt what's good and those gifts that God gave us, and so he really like uses our talents against us to turn them into idols or to make them think like too highly of ourselves. And so it's not the talent or the activity that's like inherently bad. It's when you sort of let it take over your life so much that like God isn't at the top anymore. But that was a whole other tangent. But yeah, theater is something that I really enjoy. I love being in shows. I designed costumes for a time. I love watching shows, deconstructing shows, and luckily I married a guy who loves theater just as much as I do, so that's been really nice. Okay, this comment made me chuckle when I first read it. It is from Aradia, and Aradia asks, have you ever attended the TLM, which stands for Traditional Latin Mass? If so, how did you like it? And because no Q&A is complete without a little controversy, especially on topics 90% of your audience won't care about, what are your thoughts on the recent TLM restrictions by Pope Francis? With a little smiley face with a halo over it. Okay, yeah, so I have attended the TLM 2 times in my life. And I mean, I think it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful liturgy. I am sad to see that there are restrictions being placed on it, because I do think that it is a very reverent form of the Mass. And so every week, my husband and I attend a Novus Ordo Mass, which is essentially like the new order, the quote unquote updated version since Vatican II. And I feel like our church is the Novus Ordo done right, because it is so reverent, so beautiful. We have several priests, and you just know that they're so on fire for their vocation, because every week they deliver these amazing homilies that really dig into just deep spiritual things to meditate on and think on and act on too. And so I know that, I'm not trying to start controversies down in the comments or anything like that. I know there is sort of this big debate between TLM, Novus Ordo. I think that there are ways to do both of them well and beautifully, and I think there are ways to abuse both of them as well. And so I hope that we can come to a place where everyone feels that they are able to worship God in a reverent way, as well as in the way God desires us to worship him. Okay, Nick's Fabulous Music says, I sent you a photo I took of the clouds and I see a face. I'd love your opinion. All right, so let me pull up the photos that he sent. Okay, so let's see, we have this one as well as this one here, and he did say he sort of adjusted some of the colors to make it more clear what he sort of saw. And I mean, I can't confirm nor deny if this was, a vision of Jesus in the clouds. I mean, I can see what you're referencing here. It does look like the face of Jesus, I would say. And I think that it's just, whether it was an accident or not, I think it's just important to recognize that Jesus finds little ways to tell us that he's with us, and it's just important for us to remember that as well, that he is always with us whenever we need him. All right, Anna just says, congratulations, your channel's been a safe and serene space for me to explore Catholicism at this stage in my life, former evangelical. Keep up the great work and the serene, kind-hearted content. Thank you, Anna. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, Shanti says, congratulations. This ministry has been so helpful for me, and I'm so grateful that you started this channel. As for a question, what has God been doing in your life recently? Any stories or lessons learned? Hope you and your family are doing well. Thanks, Shanti. What has God been doing in my life recently? All right, well, without taking too much of a detour here, because I could and probably should make a whole other video about this if y'all are interested. He's been teaching me trust, for sure, hands down. Maybe patience too, mostly trust. And I haven't really talked about it too much. I think there's maybe just like 2 videos that sort of like reference this. But essentially, my husband and I are dealing with secondary infertility. That's unknown, with unknown causes. So we have one daughter, she's 3 now. We've been trying for 2 years to have another child, and it is not working out, and we can't really find a reason for it. It does seem to be an issue on my husband's end of things, but there's still no explanation why there would be trouble on his end when we pretty quickly conceived our daughter when we first started trying. And so it's been this interesting journey of kind of one at first just being like, well, of course, like God wants us to have more kids, you know, like we're married, God loves big families and everything, and was sort of learning the lesson of like it might not be God's will that we have a big family, and like that's okay too. Just because you're called to marriage doesn't mean you're also called to have kids, that you can be fruitful even when you're not physically bearing children. And so the reason why I often say that my favorite prayer is "Thy will be done" is because it's the prayer that has given me the most peace in this infertility journey, because like at the end of the day, like I know that if it were our time to have a kid, we would be having a kid, and I'm able to hand it over to God and say like, okay, thy will be done. I'm going to trust that your plan is the best plan, and I don't understand why right now. And sometimes it is very hard. But it's really the only thing at the end of the day that is going to bring me that peace and not cause me to just overthink every little thing and do, you know, hours and hours of Google searches of trying to figure out what we can do. Obviously, I think it is good and holy to pursue moral ways of helping our bodies, you know, conceive and bear children. I'm not trying to say that you should just like sit back and not advocate for yourself and just like let God figure everything out. But what I am saying is that sometimes the answer is no or not right now from God, and we just have to trust. As long as we're keeping within His law, we're keeping going forward with His will. We just have to trust that His way is the best way. And so essentially trust is the big lesson that I've been on the road learning recently. Yeah. All right, Knight Errant, I like that. Knight Errant says, congratulations on the 3K. Your videos always bring me great peace, and I want to thank you for making them. What advice would you have for someone who is interested in converting to Catholicism? Man, that's a video all on its own. I don't think I'm really qualified to actually make a video on that. But honestly, like, just consume books, videos, other media from Catholic people who like know what they're talking about. Scott Hahn, Trent Horn, Ascension Presents is a great channel. Father Mike Schmitz, oh my goodness, that man is the best at speaking the truth with love. Definitely listen to Father Mike Schmitz. Just learn what you can about the Catholic faith from the people who have really studied it. I suggest the book Why We're Catholic by Trent Horn, also Rome Sweet Home by Scott Hahn, and just approach it with an an open mind, because there is a lot of bias out there against the church and a lot of misinformation. But if you listen to different Catholic apologists talking about the faith and explaining it and giving rebuttals from people, or like against people that sort of misunderstand the faith, that's going to really help a lot. And just like ask the Holy Spirit to guide you and reveal the truth to you. But yeah, I mean, just I say research Catholicism. Check out those channels. I can try to link those down below too. But yeah, that's what I'd say. Okay, Kelly says, congratulations, you deserve it. I want to know a little bit, I want to know a little about what got you into ASMR in general, and then what made you decide you wanted to create a Catholic ASMR channel. So I started watching ASMR, oh goodness, I think early 2018. I was sort of looking for one of those like guided meditation videos that helps you like relax your body and all that stuff, and I sort of stumbled upon ASMR. And at first I didn't really get sort of like the major tingles, but like the more that I listened to it, watched it, and sort of discovered different videos, I started like having that sensation. And so yeah, so I definitely was consuming ASMR videos a while before I started this channel and decided to start it. And I decided to make a Catholic ASMR channel. One, because I felt like it was I felt like I was being called to it, but I felt like it was a way that I could use skills that God gave me to evangelize and to share the beautiful Catholic faith with other people. I wanted to sort of combine the love that I was feeling for my Catholic faith, because like I started this channel not long after I sort of got back into my faith, and combined that with the really wonderful benefits of ASMR. And I do believe that ASMR is one of those gifts from God, where we have this warm physical reaction to soft and quiet things, but also just personal connection and things like that. And like with anything, it can really be twisted into something that's not good. But I think that in general, ASMR can be such a blessing for us from God. Ave Maria asks, thank you so much for your channel. I think you are very creative and thoughtful in what you present. Your Constance the Conscience Examiner was awesome. Thank you. I'm hoping to do another Constance video soon. I'm glad there is a Catholic ASMR channel. I'm interested in why you started a Catholic ASMR channel and not another type of Catholic YouTube channel. I think it's great, and I hope you get some enjoyment or satisfaction from creating these videos. I do, yes, thank you. Though I always like remind myself, like, this is not my channel, this is God's channel. And I always, like, I'm probably not very good at it, but I always try to, you know, say like, God, please guide me in what you want me to create. It's not my channel. Anyway, I felt like ASMR was one of the things that I could do best if I wanted to share my Catholic faith online on the YouTube platform. I love watching apologetics videos and videos like just talking about the faith and things like that. I don't think that I'm called to make those videos. College, I had to write so many papers. I was a history education major. Had to write so many papers, and that whole like sit down research write just has kind of been knocked out of me, to be honest. And so I knew that I wouldn't really be any good at sort of those really detailed apologetics videos or things like that. And I sort of knew the ASMR world already and could use what I knew about that and create Catholic content. All right, Rev Nuken, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, says, congratulations, may you grow even more. Your gospel readings and rosary prayers help me to this day with insomnia. Here's some questions. Do you have any stories in which you felt God was helping or trying to teach you, maybe save from tragic events? Ever had doubts about your faith? Favorite book and saint? Any non-Christian figures you admire / respect? Okay, let's see. There's a lot to unpack with this one. So first we have, do you have any stories in which you felt God was helping or trying to teach you, maybe save you from tragic events? I think, I think about that sometimes where like we sort of don't necessarily know when God or when our guardian angels have like saved us from like some kind of tragic event. So offhand, I don't really know if there was a time specifically that happened, but like I wouldn't be surprised if there's something that I like don't know about that, my guardian angel was like, it's not your time to die yet, so let me get you out of this situation. Stories in which God was helping or trying to teach you. I have some stories about rainbows, which I feel like this video is already getting long, so I'm not gonna like go into detail with them now, but I feel like God has shown me some rainbows at a time where I really needed to know that he was there. And I can maybe talk about that in a different video too. But yeah, that's what I'll say about that. Ever had doubts about your faith? Like, yeah, like I think we all do. But like what's so important to really sort of like not have those doubts like weigh you down or even come up as much is really just like learning about the faith and like learning about God and praying, because like when you do, he doesn't feel like this foreign entity that you're expected to have this relationship with. And there's a lot less, especially when you like read about the lives of the saints or hear from just people who are living, who have had crazy experiences, and you're just kind of like, man, like the more I like look into this and the more I understand like the love of God, like the less doubts I have. But yeah, like when you're a kid, it's like so easy to believe, and then you get older and the world isn't the way you expected it to be, and so it's also easy to have those doubts. But I think the number one the thing to remember is that reason and faith are not opposed. They go hand in hand. So don't be afraid to ask questions about the faith and then go seek out answers. Like, we are not meant to have a blind faith where we, just where we don't seek that relationship with God. Yeah. Favorite book and saint. Oh man, I'm like no good with the whole like favorite questions. I can never say just one. Favorite book, honestly, I should say the Bible is my favorite book. I think one day, because I did the Bible in a Year podcast with Father Mike, I think I'll do that again at some point, because there were definitely days that I was not paying full attention to what we were reading, but it did help give me like an good overview of the Bible. Any non-Christian figures you admire / respect? Sort of like thinking about this question on a small scale. I have friends and family that I love and respect so much that aren't Christian, and I think like what's important to remember is that like God is everywhere. God is in everyone and everything, and there are beautiful bits and pieces of him in every person, whether they're a Christian or not. And it's because God made all of us, he infused all of us with souls that want to know and love him and seek truth and beauty. And I know I'm sort of going off on a tangent right now, but I think it's like finding those pieces of God in everyone, whether they're Christian or not, can be a really amazing thing. And there have been great people in history that have not all been Christian, and there have also been very bad people in history who have claimed to be Christian. And so yeah, there are non-Christian people that I love and admire and respect, because we all have those bits of God in us. Let's see, Jordi Prieto says, don't have any questions, but I'm happy because I think you are the mother of all Christian ASMR channels and you deserve the love you are receiving. That's really nice, thank you. Polymorphic Penguin says, I'm having trouble thinking of a decent question, so I'll just say congratulations on reaching that milestone. Thanks. Let's see, Rawer. It's hard to say. Rawer. Rawer says, congratulations. My question is, if you could spend the day with any 3 people from the Bible, who would they be? Ooh, okay. So I am going to like normally I would say Jesus, obviously, but I'll make it a little bit more interesting and not include him in one of my 3, even though like top choice for sure. I've always loved the story of Joseph from the Old Testament, so maybe he would be one of the people that I would spend the day with, just because like, man, like, oh, what a good like comeback story. And like, not like a comeback so much, but like what a good trusting in God story for sure. Probably Saint Peter would be another one. Again, I already talked about some of the reasons why I liked him. I just feel like he'd be really interesting to talk to. One more person, maybe this one's a little bit of a cop-out, but probably Mother Mary. Honestly, what I would love to talk to her about is what Jesus was like as a toddler, as a little boy, because I'm just like so intrigued with the idea of Jesus being without sin, but still like going through those toddler years that are just kind of like so aggravating for a parent that I would just love to swap stories with her about toddlers, and specifically about what Jesus was like when he was that age. All right, Emily asks, what is your favorite prayer to say daily? Do you have a special devotion to anyone? Favorite prayer to say daily, a very short one, is Thy will be done. Again, but I do say the Our Father and Hail Mary a couple times a day, because before my daughter naps, we say both of those prayers, and then when she goes to bed at night, we say both of those prayers. And then, do you have a special devotion to anyone? Like right now I don't. I want to though, and maybe I just haven't quite, I don't know. I feel like there are so many saints that I'm interested in that I can't like settle down and pick one to sort of really do a deep dive into. But if anything, I really should do a deep dive into St. Catherine of Siena, since she is my patron saint. Jocelyn asks, did you grow up Catholic? Yes. Do you have a favorite saint? Catherine of Siena, I'll say. And what do you think about Limbo? Wow, that is a big question. And I'm actually going to link an article down below about that, because that's just, it's a huge thing that I don't really have the qualifications to like really talk in depth about. Plus, like, I mean, that could be a whole video too. But essentially, Limbo was not ever a formal teaching in the catechism. It was sort of like, for a while, a widely accepted idea. And I assume, I don't know, because like Limbo, you could talk about like different things about it, but I think like the the topic that comes up the most is like unbaptized babies, like where do they go? Because they don't have personal sin, but they also don't have the sanctifying grace of baptism. And so it's sort of like, well, they go to this like in between place, like, or like neither place, neither heaven nor hell, where they are there's like natural happiness, but they never like see the face of God. And again, that was never like a formal teaching. It was just sort of like the idea. And now we have in our revised catechism, we have just a more open-minded idea, because the thing is, the Bible tradition, like nothing gives us a teaching about like what happens. And so I really like the idea of baptism of desire for unborn babies, where you have the desire to baptize them, but for whatever reason you are unable to carry that out before their unfortunate untimely death. And you know, I think we just rely on the divine mercy of God to take care of those babies. And yeah, so that's what I think. I rely on the divine mercy of God and the baptism of desire as well. Okay, Haley asks, do you believe that only Catholics make it to heaven? Are you confirmed? And if so, did you feel different after? I'm thinking about finally getting confirmed. What's your opinion on birth control, especially when it's taken for medical reasons like PCOS? And what's your opinion on the potential for the church to eventually allow women to enter the seminary? Love your channel, by the way. Okay, so first question. Do you believe that only Catholics make it to heaven? No, I do not. And actually there is a comment here from Revert Forward that I want to read, because I really like it. Sorry to jump in, but I asked Jesus in adoration once what someone as awful as me could possibly mean to him, and the answer he gave was everything. That goes for non-Catholics, Protestants, Mormons, and atheists. Same answer for all 9+ billion people in the world and each unborn child. So it is not Catholic teaching that only Catholics go to heaven, which there is the teaching, there is no salvation outside the church, which actually is a pretty broad teaching. Again, I'm not the qualified one to talk about it, so but we cannot judge the state of another person's soul. We can talk about the laws that God has given us, but I don't know who's going to make it to heaven and who is going to turn away from God. But in short, no, I don't believe that only Catholics make it to heaven. Are you confirmed? And if so, did you feel different after? Yes, I am confirmed. I was confirmed in 8th grade, so at this point that was a little bit of a while ago. And I don't remember if I exactly felt different after, but I definitely felt like it was a beautiful and serious rite of passage in my faith. And yeah, it was definitely a special night. Yeah. What's your opinion on birth control, especially when it's taken for medical reasons like PCOS? Oh, this is like another big topic, but yeah, I believe that if birth control is taken not as a means of contraception, but as a means of dealing with other health issues, that it can be used, though it's sort of like not necessarily a good plan A. And I've heard a lot about birth control just kind of being pushed out there as just sort of like a fix-all for women, even though if we actually like look closely at each individual woman and try to pinpoint exactly like what is going on with her body, that can be a lot more beneficial to women than just sort of being like prescribed a drug and just saying like, okay, well, hopefully this works for you, like a one-size-fits-all type thing. And so I really like NAPRO technology, natural procreative technology, because that really sort of seeks to understand what is going on in that specific woman's body, and how to help her specifically. And what's your opinion on the potential for the church to eventually allow women to enter seminary? So there actually is no potential for that to ever happen, because it literally just cannot happen. And I can maybe find an article about that too, to link down below, kind of explaining like why it's not a matter of if or when that happens. It's like the rights are not, it's not that priests currently have the option to ordain women and they don't even have that option to do that, and that it's not about men having power over women, but it's about men and women having their separate roles when it comes to following Christ. I love some of these questions and I wish I could talk about them more, but they again could like fill up a whole other video. All right, from Light Yagami. I see that Death Note reference. What do you like to do in your free time? Yeah, when I have free time, because I have 3-year-old at home. Long-term free time, I like to involve myself in theatrical things, and short-term free time, I like to watch different shows and movies with my husband. I like to chill and watch YouTube. I like to take little trips, and honestly just stay off social media because it's no fun there anymore. It's a pretty scary place. All right, wow, y'all asked some good questions. Some that man, were like deep ones, big ones, and also some fun ones out there. And so thank you. I hope that this video didn't get too long and too boring. But again, I just want to say thank you all for being here and supporting this channel, but above all else, just really being here to build your own relationship with God and grow closer to Him, because that's like my greatest desire and prayer for you, is that through these videos God will work through them and just show you, man, the beauty and the love and the peace and just the greatness that He wants to just pour out onto all of us. So thank you for being here, beloved, and I'm praying for all of you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you in the next video. All right, good night, beloved. May God grant you